Boom. Literally one of the first things. This is from 5 months ago. Inside Editions. This is some of the first stuff that we heard and seen coming from this grotesque morning, from November 13th.
Of the two roommates who live in the house and apparently slept through the massacre. So the mystery is, who did make that 911 call to police, and how did that person make the gruesome discovery? I spoke with County Prosecutor Bill Thompson.
It's an essential part of the case. Whoever discovered the scene first, whoever initiated the contact with law enforcement is all part of understanding what occurred and the timeline of what occurred.
He told me the two roommates may have critical information.
The investigators are already talking to them and trying to get from them everything they can possibly remember about what they may have seen, what they may have heard, what their activities were, what they know about the activities of their housemates.
Here's a
A
prosecutor.
new wrinkle, former LAPD detective Mark Furman.
The beard guy?
That
Yeah,
Mark Furman.
He's one of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
From the O.J. Simpson trial, now lives in Idaho and is claiming that victim Kaylee Gonsalves had a stalker.
I talked to one
Wait.
student. And
Wait,
I
who
agree
from? Who from the O.J. Simpson trial?
This guy.
Him?
Yeah.
And what part did he play in the O.J.
Let's
Simpson
go
trial?
back and see what he
with
said.
this.
A new wrinkle, former LAPD detective Mark Furman, yes, that Mark Furman from the O.J. Simpson trial, now lives.
So he would have been on the.
LAPD.
He would have been on the prosecution, or probably a witness, right? If he was.
Yeah, I wonder if he was
police
like
officer.
involved in that chase.
Yeah.
Hell, I mean, if he's a detective,
Wow.
he was probably even really
Interesting.
He was probably not a part of the chase. He was probably like actually investigating this thing.
Lives in Idaho and is claiming that victim Kaylee Gonsalves had a stalker.
I talked to one student, and I agree with this. It was twice removed from the person that said it, Kaylee. But Kaylee 2 months ago complained about a stalker.
Only when I
This social media video shows all 5 women in the kitchen of the house they shared. We're learning that the killer, for some reason, bypassed the rooms where the 2 young survivors were sleeping.
Their story was they heard partying, they heard noise, but they just, as usual, said, there's partying going on, and they locked the door.
Another mystery, where was Kaylee's dog the night of the killings? Why didn't his barking wake everyone up? Autopsies on the 4 students found.
These are all
each
questions
had
that I have.
multiple stab
All of this
wounds.
stuff is my thinking,
Dude,
You know,
I did watch. Now, I kind of, when I went through these videos earlier, I must admit on some of them I was kind of breaking through, seeing if this would kind of fit what I was thinking. But I kind of went through these in the past. I knew where I was at. This one I did watch completely through because it was the first one, and this was like one of the most relevant. This was one of the first from November 5 months ago, and right after the murders, and it was one of the most relevant one with the questions I have now.
here's what happens.
Like,
Here's what happens.
Everything gets crazy.
People get stuck on things that they read, right? They get stuck on these points, and they don't think about the bigger picture. Inside Edition here, am I right? Is it Inside
Yeah,
Edition?
this one's Inside Edition.
They are thinking of, like, logically as a human being, the bigger picture of like the entire situation, which is how we should all be thinking. But we do. We get invested. We get stuck
taking down
and
these avenues.
We get stuck in a box. We get stuck in our little boxes that we can't get out of.
Yeah.
And that's a huge problem in this, especially with this case being viral as it is.
Right, especially something this big.
It's you really have to think about the overall picture, the bigger picture.
At the end of the day, it's really sad.
These are things that I've been talking about the whole time. Is how were noises not heard? Violent noises not heard from the murders. How the dog is a huge part of it. Like how, and you could actually make excuses for these things, as in the dog is just a docile dog. Maybe the dog, even if violent things are happening, maybe the dog is scared. Maybe the dog isn't making noise.
Yeah, we don't know that
right?
dog's personality.
Exactly.
From a couple TikToks that
So I mean, you can always take avenues that take away from your idea, whatever idea you're running at, or there's a better word for that. I can't get it because I'm drunk. But regardless, you see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. No, I see where you're at for sure.
I do think we need to look at the bigger picture, as in, like, how would regular people react to these things, right?
Right.
Or even animals, or whatever's in the home itself.
Those are real questions that in the trial are going to be asked logically. When we're out
And
here, kind of like a lot of our videos will come from emotion, right? Like
for sure.
a lot of it's from emotion, and a lot of comments from even the public, including me here, whether what side you kind of land on this thing on, because of what information you decided to pick up along the way, or, whether that's all of it, whether you consume all of it, you probably do, especially if you're in this chat or on one of these channels. But, that kind of, it guides your mind to a certain, almost even ending, whether it's guilty or not guilty in this stance. But that's not necessarily the best thing. You kind of need to look back. You really need to step back from it all. We're so deep, right? We're in it every day in the fucking mud.
The problem.
You need to step back, and look at the whole thing. So maybe it's again, opinionated idiot. Good idea, dude. Go back to the beginning and relive again, right here in the middle of this video. We're 144 in on a 3-minute video, and instantly we're like, holy shit, right? Like, why aren't we talking about that now?
Yep. And you're right, calling out opinionated idiot, because that was something that he suggested. It's exactly what we should all be doing. We should be going back and re-reviewing I guarantee you, any seasoned detective is doing exactly that. They get information, they get all this information, and they may have evidence and everything. Well, here's the thing. If they may have, like, actual fucking evidence that puts like, let's say, for example, Koberger at the crime, like, dead to rights,
right?
It's
even something that's possibly not been seen,
but something that, like, where you really, it still is a mystery. Because here's the thing: the state or the county or the Moscow police or the state, or however you want to look at that, they are convicting Brian Koberger, right?
Yeah.
They have arrested him. They believe they have probable cause. They think he's the guy, right? In a situation where it may still be a mystery, where they don't have a suspect or whatever, they would go back and review the case probably from the beginning. They would probably review everything.
That's probably a normal tactic, actually. Like,
but they think they have the guy.
But they do right now, yeah.
And whether that's, like, whether that's truly the right guy, or if it's, like, politically the right guy,
that's what we need to find out.
Whether there's some outside motivation to create him to be the right guy.
We've discussed it many times. Also,
that's the conspiracy side and the weird side, right?
But at the same time, I mean, that there is a place for that discussion.
We're trying to. Sorry. Yeah.
No, my bad. I was going to say that there is a place for that discussion also. But at the same time, I kind of like tonight's almost even a different type of Publicly Buzzed show, because we'll go down those avenues pretty regularly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They're like, they know it's him, right? Or at least they're making it. They're trying to show us they know it's him, but there's always that avenue of. From the outside looking in, we are going to question it, and we're going to. The more things come out, and especially the more theories that come out from the public, from YouTube videos, from all these people, start to
from
wonder.
The Daily Mirror.
Like, hey, an opinionated idiot makes his appearance.
Oh shit, we've been hyping you up in here, bro. Welcome, man. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Hold on, let me hit you with the.
What do you say? Because
we are so far forward. When you go back, you see things you might have missed or interpreted differently. And absolutely, dude.
I think that's brilliant.
You nailed it, man. I think you 100% nailed it with that. Yeah, I've been hyping you up in here because this is such a good idea. We're 1 minute into the first video I'm watching from November, and we're instantly, discussing this entire thing.
And I mistakenly said, like, detectives working on this case may want to do that, but they're not going to do that because they think they have the guy, right? So it's up to us to do that. It's up to us to go back and let's figure this thing out as much as we can. And because these guys are not always going to be right,
100%, and they're often not.
That is the facts.
Is also a scary, sad truth.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's jump back in here for just.
Fought with the attacker. and there was no sexual assault. County Coroner Kathy Mabbutt is describing the murders as personal.
Were they found in beds?
Yes, there were multiple stab wounds. The fatal ones were to the chest area or the upper body area.
The father of Xana Kernodle says her wounds show she fought for her life.
Bruises, and maybe hurt by the knife or whatever. She's a tough kid. Whatever she wanted to do, she could do it.
And we're learning that another victim, Madison Mogan, had planned to spend Thanksgiving with the family of her boyfriend, Jake Schreiger. His mother says his world has been turned upside down. There's growing anger over the progress of the investigation in Moscow, Idaho. Madison Mogan's aunt says the lack of information, statements from left field, and lack of outreach to the public to gain information has made this even more painful. On a typical weeknight, Main Street in this small college town is bustling, but not tonight. So many people are fearful over these 4 brutal homicides that many students have left campus and returned home, leaving Moscow, Idaho, a virtual ghost town. I found University of Idaho student Grace Martin, who lives across the street from the murder scene, as she joined the exodus.
I didn't remember this either. There was so much going on, and I was on this pretty much out the gate from early November. I think I made my first video 1 week after the actual murders. Of course, going through all this stuff. I didn't remember this part right here. They actually interviewed the neighbor
Of students heading home.
Living next to the crime scene, it feels very dark. Like there's kind of a spirit of death around a bit.
Abigail Spencer.
Now, what sucks about that is that's all they did. That's all that they showed. That's why I hate a lot of this mainstream media.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
And I think, opinionated idiot drunk turkey show, a lot of these YouTubers in a lot of ways, we are privileged enough to be able to have this long form conversation and get to better details. And, a lot of the bigger channels can have, and hopefully we'll get there, but have professionals on that can actually give their opinion. They're not just a talking head for 30 seconds on a talk show. That's a big problem, man. I
mean, to be fair, the podcast sort of format would lend so much to
for
things
something
like
this.
It's just not popular though, is it? It's not what people necessarily watch the most. People typically are going to watch the short form News Nation broadcasts, right? And it's on cable TV,
they
probably
shorts, they
as
like
well.
TikToks too. But there are some though. But yeah,
but I mean,
the
to give them credit though, they do maybe not always. I can't speak for every one of these programs like this, but excuse me, they do their research and they speak facts for the most part, usually, right? In my opinion, they don't necessarily. I mean, I'm not talking about News Nation and stuff, though, or Daily Mail is an article.
Some of them are straight up almost tabloids. I mean,
exactly. But Inside Edition, they're not just going to say some nonsense,
Yeah.
I don't think they are. They may have. I could be wrong. Don't.
And I'm sure they have, but it doesn't seem like it's as rampant. It's not just spewing.
Everything they said here was completely valid.
This so far has been awesome.
Yeah,
this has actually been pretty good.
A great video.
Real quick here, it looks like Creepy Crystal is coming through with a 1 month membership of the Buzz Killers, and she says thank you as well. Appreciate that. Dope as hell. Thank you so much.
If there's one thing I want to get across and I want to make a point of is let's not hang the big wigs, the big corporate news stations just for issues they've had in the past, right? Because they very well could have good information.
Yeah,
just like anybody else could. In fact, let's not put anybody on the back burner because they may have in the past had a bad take or something you didn't agree with or lied about something even, right? Because they absolutely could have truthful, good information, even though they made a mistake in the past,
Yeah, the problem would be with the ones
you shouldn't rule out anything.
Yeah, the problem would be with the ones that on the lying aspect that are just habitual
constantly.
Yeah, the ones that you can which are usually outliers, right? I mean, for the most part, people aren't complete garbage, but there is a lot of shit lurking. So
I agree with that. Yep, and that's what makes it tough too. right? That's what it makes it so tough.
It does.
When you see a station or a YouTube channel or whatever just making pure garbage, you want to discredit everything they say from that point forward.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, that happens to me, in different forms of entertainment and news. In the way things are today, every little subculture thing has its own brand of news, and videos are being made about it, or articles are coming out about it. And all the time I will, dude, if something, just like on here, dude, just like on here, opinions are opinions. I love it. I'll watch people that I don't fully agree with, but dude, if they get to where it's lies that you can find, that you can prove is wrong, if you actually do your own research, which is what everyone should be doing now. And that happens a lot, dude. I'm not saying a lot, but it does happen where I get grossed out by it too, because I'm just like, man, I really like this guy, and all of a sudden I'm just like, well, fuck him, because I don't know, that I hate that too, because we live in an age where it's so easy to call people on their bullshit, and which is a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but like it sucks, because like all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, like, but I guess that's a good thing ultimately, because before the information age that we're in now, you'd probably not find that out, or it'd be harder to find out. Where now you can find out by just start Googling a little bit, or doing a little bit of digging.
Here's an example
into the person,
right? And the chat may not know what we're talking about, but me and you are going to know exactly what we're talking about. Where if we have an issue, if we found an issue with somebody that we have communicated with, whatever, and what if that person had like breaking news, like straight just to them, like they just found something significant,
right?
But we're not necessarily on good terms with that person, or we don't like their ideology, or we are biased against it for some reason.
Gotcha.
But they literally broke
legit news.
We're gonna use it.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to still listen to them.
That still even
though we don't listen to them, we don't necessarily agree with things that they say. I mean, if they have something that just sounds right and it's actually insane and it's breaking or whatever it may be, I mean, we're gonna fucking listen.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're gonna want to. I mean, at the end of the day, you're gonna actually want to get real information, real facts, and sometimes shitty people might have those.
Absolutely. There it is.
Editor of the campus newspaper says the lack of information is fueling fear.
They keep saying it's an isolated incident, but if we don't have an idea of who it is, nobody knows what to look out for, and no one knows how to keep themselves and their friends and family safe.
That was actually a good video, though. Inside Edition, I think, did a good job there.
That was definitely good.
This is, I mean, right out the gate, guys, as you can see.
And that's all. Yeah, I like this. I like that we're going back over stuff.
That was a good one. I see some more super chats coming through here, but let me look through here and see what people are saying. Will B, thank you for being here.
I saw Opinionated Idiot pop through again with another one.
Nice, Opinionated Idiot. I see
you didn't do that one yet, did you?
I haven't got there yet. I'm a little bit behind, guys.
Okay.
I'm trying to go through and still look at everybody's here too.
With the sticker.
I hear John, just because they were found in bed doesn't mean they were stabbed in bed.
That's absolutely true as well.
Some facts. I mean,
blood. I mean, blood. Forensics is gonna determine that, right? So.
In Anna Sue, I still have some of the exact same questions I had from the beginning of the case. Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's so we just don't have enough. We don't know enough. That's actually, and I mentioned this last night. I think that's why I'm so annoyed with covering this case, is because we're not really getting anywhere.
Yeah.
We're not really getting anywhere with this thing.
And then I think it almost became prevalent. It's coming more prevalent by the day because we're coming up on it quickly. A pre-trial, dude. That's not a trial.
Yeah.
That is setting a date. Yeah. And dude, okay, let's just take Sarah Boone, for example. Okay. That thing keeps getting reset because currently the last thing is they can't get, the proper expert. How many times is that going to keep happening? And you know why they can't in this new one? It's because it is such a viral case with Sarah Boone. Now it's more negative. I'm not going to say it's more negative. This one is, but sadly, people sop up the serial killer shit. They probably want to be attached to it, right? No one wants to be attached to what's going on with Sarah Boone. She's crazier than hell. Like her even her lawyers don't want to be with her, but God only knows. She's been 3 years now.